me talk a little bit about some of the specific things with regard to the Attorney General's office that are critical and impact your daily lives. First of all, understand that the Attorney General serves on the ABCs of government. When I say ABCs of government, I'm referring to the agencies, boards, and commissions. Now, a lot of that is lost on most citizens because they don't understand that our problem certainly is with our elected officials. But if you really want to talk about the soul-sucking, money-stealing, absolutely robber barons of government, it's the unelected bureaucrats that are just eating us out of house and home, that are eating away our sustenance, as Jefferson talked about in the Declaration of Independence. And for the last 50 years, every single Attorney General, whether they're R or D or whatever, they have served on these agencies, boards, and commissions with the idea of how can I help these guys do their job better for more government, bigger government, more regulation. Not a one of them has said, hey, let's actually represent the people of Ohio for a change. When these guys want to put together programs that are going to make it more difficult for individuals to have small businesses, let's say not so fast. You can't do that. We're going to safeguard and protect the citizens of Ohio. We're going to give the citizens of Ohio the opportunity to compete, to produce better products, to employ others in their community. Because that's what freedom is all about. That's what the free market enterprise has always been, and that is what made this country the greatest nation on the face of the planet. That's what we have to understand, that's what we have to inculcate in our rationale and our thinking. Now in 2008, one of the things that we got very involved with along this lines was that the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy, OPATA, which is one of the functions of the Attorney General's office regulating that, had an executive director by the name of Tommy Doris. And as you can imagine, she was a political hack, an appointee making an outrageous salary, right? You guys have probably heard about those before, right? Who had decided from the Strickland administration that what they were going to do was try to put out of business all of the private police training academies statewide. And to do this, what they were going to do is they were going to have their compliance officers go around the state and trump up whatever kind of charge they could to disqualify these private police training agencies from being able to maintain their license. Now, what happened, the backlash from that was that some of the compliance officers, they had been doing this for 20 years, and the people that were the commandants of these academies, these were folks that they knew for 15 and 20 years, and they knew their kids and their grandkids and everything else. And when those orders were coming down, they simply said, we're not going to do it. Now here's where we got involved. Some of the people, the compliance officers that just wouldn't do that, well, Tommy Doris said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to start papering your personnel file so we can run you out, replace you with somebody that will do the bidding, and then they will go and shut down the police academies, right? And that's how the word leaked out to us. We brought that to statewide media attention. We had 5 statewide debates, and we were on the air, network TV in prime time, naming names and letting it out exactly what was going on. Went down to one of the board meetings, and I read her the Riot Act as to what's going on. We shut that process down, and even though we didn't win that campaign, we put so much political heat on these guys that the very first thing Rich Cordray did when he took office was he fired Tommy Doris. We ended that system. Right? So we can go a long way towards protecting small businesses in the Attorney General's office if we are actually focusing our efforts in the correct manner with the attitude of protecting small businesses. Now, one of the other big issues that comes into play is that the Attorney General's office is essentially the gatekeeper of the dirty money in politics in Columbus. Now, understand, during the Celeste administration, you guys can probably, some of you might remember the Celeste administration. There was quite a bit of graft going around. Well, they took some heat from it, the more that it went on. What they decided, these political insiders decided was, you know what? Let's take some of this dirty money out of the governor's office and we'll put it over into the Attorney General's office. And that way we can claim attorney-client privilege and we don't have to disclose exactly how the sausage is made. And that is why, whether they're Republicans or Democrats in office, they will never speak a word about this because all they have to do is sit back, and even if they're out of office, they just wait till the pendulum swings back to the other guy and bam, they're right back into the money. Now in 2008 I caught Rich Cordray, who at that time was state treasurer, had taken a blatantly illegal $10,000 donation from a banker by the name of Montford Will at Wachovia Bank, who had also given another $360,000 to the Democratic Party. Montford Will, in return for that, received over $10 billion in state business. Understand, they're not just selling you out, they're selling you out for cheap. Because that's what's going on, and they've been getting away with it because people end up getting caught up in this left-right paradigm. But let's consider, and some of you guys have a good military background, so you'll appreciate a guy I'm going to bring up by the name of Sun Tzu. Guys familiar with The Art of War? Outstanding. Chinese philosopher from centuries ago, he said, you know what? If you know yourself and you know your enemy, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. And so here today we have to understand not just what we're supposed to be about, which is critical, and having a foundation in constitutional theory and understanding and the genesis of where this comes from, that's critical, but we have to clearly recognize our enemies. We have to clearly recognize those that are not going to operate in our best interest. And I can assure you that when you look at who the party inside bosses are putting forward, specifically in the Attorney General's office, they are very careful to hand select their guys that they know and trust to do their bidding and maintain this river of dirty money through Columbus. And we've seen a pretty significant example just this year, right? In the Attorney General's race in the Republican Party, at first there was going to be a contested primary. The thing was that Dave Yost, who is actually from Delaware County, and I know him fairly well, he wasn't a known enough quantity by the Republican Party. I mean, sure, he's a party guy, but they don't want just party guys. They want somebody who, when they say, you dance, their only question is, what speed? Right? That's what they want. Tried and true party hacks that will absolutely follow their instructions to the letter of the law, and they didn't have that level of faith in Dave Yost. So what they do, they twisted his arm off. They promised him the moon, the stars, and the sun to move over to the auditor's office, mostly because they had already given up on the auditor's race. The Democrat that's in that race is connected with the Procter & Gamble family. He's going to have more money to throw at Dave Yost than Dave will even be able to contemplate.